Okay, I am now recording. I'm going to go back to my slides that y'all should be able to see. Can y'all see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, and so now I can't see y'all, so I won't be able to see any funny facial expressions. I will not be able to mute anybody, but I am recording so that people who aren't watching us will be able to see this. So y'all can't see me, right? You just see my slide.
I can see you. I'm in the
I can see you.
I can see you on the side with everybody else.
Yeah, I'm in the
Oh,
speaker.
really? Okay, but you can still see my slide.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's just me that I can't see anybody. All right. That's going to drive me crazy. All right. Well, I'm going to go with this. All right. So what I wanted to do tonight was have like the most basic of basic, like how do you start? What do you do? What do you do when you get stalled out? What do you do when you're brand new? What do you do when you've been doing this for a while and you've lost momentum? What do you like? What do you do? And so I just wanted to really drill it down to the basics, and try not to use like Beachbody language and not talk about Success Club and not talk about like rank and leadership ladder and GSRs and like all this language that when you first start, you're like, I'm so confused. I don't understand anything about volume and PV and what's this. And like, I just want to tell you like, just like how to be a coach and let everyone know that anyone watching this video, anyone and everyone on this call can totally do this. So what I want to start out with are the mistakes that I made when I first started coaching. And I made a lot of them, and everyone does, and it's so normal. And some of it is like fear-based stuff. Some of it is, you know, maybe not having the confidence. Some of it is just not knowing. And so I want to like start off with this and then tell you the things you do need to do and know. So things you do not need to get started with coaching. And what I see happening is when people stall out or when they first get started, they kind of hesitate because they're like, well, I don't have a website yet, or I don't have any experience coaching, or I don't have a big transformation. I'm not at the end of my journey. I don't have a, bikini body yet. I don't have thousands of friends or followers. I, haven't done any of the coach trainings. I don't know where to start. I don't have any good pictures. I don't have a brand. I don't have a logo. I don't have a Facebook like page. Do I need a Facebook like page? Do I need a website? Do I need to spend money on a website? Maybe if I got a website, maybe that. I'm like, no. I want you to know and understand and believe, most importantly, you do not need any of these things to get started. And quite honestly, you don't need any of these things for a long time, maybe never. Like I still don't have a website. I have it. I haven't touched it in about a year. It's a mess. I go back and forth between using my my business page, and I will tell you, I started a Facebook like business page way too soon. And the reason why I did it was I was scared. I was scared to put myself out there as a coach saying CC Davis is a coach now. Instead, I came up with Harbor Health. This was before Soulshine Mom, and I was Harbor Health. And it felt like, all right, well, just in case someone saw Harbor Health, they would be like, well, I don't know what this is. Who's behind this? What is this? And really what it was me hiding behind the fact that I didn't want to just say, yes, I'm a coach now. And I did in many ways, but again, like I still felt the need to have this business page to hide behind. And I promise you, you do not need it. You definitely don't need fancy pictures. You don't need, and that's another thing I don't want you to waste your time on either, because that's just not time well spent. Especially many of you work full time, you have families, you have other obligations, you're trying to squeeze this in. Like you really need to just drill it down to the basics, that's what I'm going to do in the next couple slides. And just so what the basics are, what income producing activity is, so that you're not like thinking, well, I'm going to do a new challenge group, but I really need to come up with a really, really cute name for it and a cute graphic and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Like, I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I can crank out things really quickly. And sometimes I still spend way too much time on that stuff that doesn't matter, because I like being creative, and it's a huge creative outlet for me. And somewhere along this journey, I decided this is my creative outlet, and I just know that there are going to be days where I'm going to need to have this creative outlet, and it's not going to be so much about the income producing activities, but it's going to be that I'm like getting this fulfillment out of being creative and creating something and really getting like brainstorming and really just going through that process. So know that you don't need any of these things to get started. And like I said, not even just to get started, but to be coaching, a year, 2, 3, 4 years down the road. You don't need any of these things. So a lot of people get hung up with, the word coach. There are so many people that get started and I think there are actually people who decide that they don't even want to sign up for the discount because they're scared of that word coach. And certainly those of you who are watching this or on this call with me, I think that I hope you aren't scared of that word, but I want to break it into a way that you can think about it that isn't so scary. So, and this is somewhere along the way this year, I can't remember if it was at Summit or New Leader Conference, someone did a presentation and they described it as, if you can help others, you can coach. I mean, it's as simple as that. It really is. Don't get bogged down with, well, I don't know the difference between macros and micros. I don't know the ingredients of Shakeology. I don't know how to run a challenge group. I've never set up a group in my challenge tracker. I've never, don't think of those things. Boil it down to what matters. If you can help others, you can coach. And I know we as women, we are helpers, we are nurturers. We know how to do that. So have confidence that you can do that and know that you've got a team, you've got a company behind you with so many resources that it all falls into place. So these are just the mindset issues that I see people getting held back by, saying, well, gosh, as soon as I have a website, maybe that'll make it, I'll have something to send to people. Maybe once I, go through Coach Basics or I'm an Emerald coach, then I'll have something. You've got to get over that way of thinking. You can start today. Wherever you are in this timeline, just start. Another thing that I used to get hung up with was leadership. And did I want to be a leader? Did I want to lead a team? And then I saw this, I posted this in Together Rising last week, I think it was. I just saw this on a bill, a little company sign. And it said, if your actions inspire others to become more, you are a leader. And that's what it boils down to, are your actions. And that's what coaching is built around. And it's a beautiful thing because it encourages you to think about your actions. And it certainly got me a heck of a lot healthier than I ever would have been on my own, left to my own devices. I would be eating ice cream every night, not exercising ever. Coaching, and this kind of scares me a little bit. I read this in my notes the other day and I was like, okay, that's kind of scary. I get what they're saying, but still that this lifetime commitment thing scares me. But what coaching is, it basically means that you are committing to being a challenger for life. That's all it means. So I don't want anyone to get nervous about the coat hat and the coach hat, and thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can coach. Who am I to coach when I can't even do XYZ myself and blah, blah, blah. It just means you're a challenger for life. And yes, we as challengers, we've got to recommit. There are so many times you've got to recommit. Trust me, after this summer, I totally need to recommit with a lot of things. So hopefully y'all have heard of the vital behaviors. We used to just have 3 and then they added 4. And to be honest, I have to say that for the most part, all you really need to focus on are the 3, especially in the beginning. Recognition comes, that comes when you you've brought people on and you have a team. And when I say team, that team can be you and your best friend. Like, it doesn't have to be like a team of people. Team really just means, you and a person. So like, don't think, well, I don't have a team. And so anyway, 4 vital behaviors. You will hear oftentimes, Amy Silverman especially talks about staying in phase 1. And that's what this means. Like, when she says stay in phase 1, that means these vital behaviors. Like, even top coaches have to still do these vital behaviors. There's no like trick around it. They aren't trying something else. They aren't doing some crazy business idea or whatever. Like, this is what everyone does. And it's very easy. And you can always tell when people get off track, it's because they're not doing one of these things. When you aren't hitting Success Club, when you aren't rank advancing, when you aren't, when you're doubting whether or not you want to do this, when you're doubting your value as a coach or as a leader, it usually boils down to the vital behaviors. So proof of the product. Proof of the product, that of course just means that you are doing a program. Not just doing a program, but trying to do one from beginning to end and following it, and, following the nutrition plan and drinking Shakeology. And I know some of those things are easier for some of us than others. Like, for me, sometimes the nutrition is a little hard to follow, but I can have a shake every single day. Like, that is no problem for me. I always have a shake. But you always want to start with that. Like, that's how it starts. If you aren't following a program, if you aren't following a food plan, and now that we have 2B mindset, like I'll use Dee as an example because, she hasn't been able to work out as much because of her knee. So now we have the beauty of, we have just a nutritional program. So it used to be that, they would say proof of the product, and it meant that you were press and play every day. But now we don't even have that. Now it is, that you are focusing on a program and you're committing to your journey. And I love that. Again, like, if I didn't have this coaching thing and I just was left to my own devices to stay healthy and in shape and fit, like, I wouldn't be doing it. I just wouldn't. Number 2 is personal development. And that, can change, like, what you need, what you want. It also means getting on team calls. And it means getting on team calls when you don't want to, or you're thinking about quitting, or you are thinking about, or you're doubting things. When I was at the peak of, oh my gosh, I want to quit. I suck at this. I cannot do this. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, I was doubting, questioning everything. I just was a mess. That is when I committed to Barbie Kalev's mastermind mentorship. And looking back, like, I was like, I cannot believe I did that. But I knew that the way out was personal development. And I knew it wasn't quitting. I've never heard anyone say, I am so glad I quit. What I hear more times than not is, oh my gosh, I regret that I quit. I regret that I didn't try harder. I regret that I didn't push at the end of the month for that. I regret that I passed that whatever up. So personal development, again, can mean a lot of different things, but you always have to keep doing it. Sharing with others is the 3rd vital behavior. And, people get scared when you use the word inviting. And so sharing, inviting, they go hand in hand. They're one and the same. If you do one, it makes the other one easier, and I'm getting ready to talk about that more. And then again, recognition. I'm not trying, Beachbody obviously came up with these vital behaviors, so I don't want to totally be like, ignore recognition. It is very important. But but truly, if you focus on those first 3 while you're trying to get started, recognition is very easy to throw in. All right, so I was trying to keep everything simple, and then I got to this slide, and then I added way too much, and I was like, oh God, this is getting overwhelming, and I didn't mean, like, I really wanted to break this down and keep it really, really simple. So there are really just a couple things that I want to point out. And 2 things that I want you to do when this call ends, either tonight or sometime tomorrow. If you haven't done it, fill out the memory jogger. And that can be found in the coach office under the training tab. It's within the, let me tell you exactly where it is, because I found it because I was like, it's kind of tricky to find. It's under the Coach Basics Participant Guide. And that is just a 5-page document, and it's embedded in that. If you cannot find it, please let me know. But basically the memory jogger, I'm going to open it and I'll just read like what it says. I did this in the very beginning, and I just took out some blank pieces of paper, and I wrote down everyone I knew, everyone. And don't leave anybody off. This does not mean, like, if you write someone's name on your memory jogger, that doesn't mean that you're going to reach out and invite this person month after month after month. This is simply an exercise for you to get comfortable with the fact that you know people. I hear time and time again, well, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, I don't know a lot of people. I am shy, I'm an introvert. Like, I get that. But when you do this memory jogger exercise, you see that you have family, you have neighbors, you have coworkers. I mean, we're all in our 30s to 50s, and we all have had jobs. We've all attended different schools, like church. I mean, they're all different kinds of people that that this will just, again, it's just the process and the activity of just sitting down and thinking of everybody that you know of, and not leaving anybody off that list, truly. Like, and that's another thing, this is kind of an aside, but you don't want to ever make any judgments about who might be interested in a challenge group and who might not be, because I promise you, over the years, the people who I have thought, I'm going to reach out to them, and they are just going to be like, yes, oh my gosh, I'd love to do that. That sounds amazing, have been the ones that are like, no, or either haven't responded. And then the ones who have been so eager and just like, yes, I'd love to try that, have been the ones that I hesitated and thought, there's no way she wants to do it. So again, the memory jogger is simply an exercise for you to get accustomed to thinking about who you know. And your warm market, I guarantee, is bigger than you think. So that's one thing I'd love for everybody to do. The other thing is to make a list of the top 10 to 20 ways that Beachbody has changed your life. And when I say Beachbody, I mean it could be something specific like Shakeology. It could be a specific program. It could be just being a part of our group. It could be whoever your coach is. Just think of the 20 ways and write those down. And it could be like really deep things. It could be, for me, my list looks like, cured my stomach issues, gave me confidence, got me back in pants that I hadn't worn in years. Like, think of everything from like the NSV, the non-scale victories, and like the things that are a little more frivolous, to like the really deeper things like connection and purpose and passion and being a better mom and like those things. So try to write all those down. And then what that's going to do for you is to give you material to think about when you share, because I know everyone gets really scared about sharing and what do I post on social media. And while it's great to show people that you are exercising and you're eating healthier and you're doing the things, you have to give people a reason to, one, connect with you. Like, okay, if I saw a picture of someone exercising 4 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I don't connect with that person. I don't exercise, So you have to have like a story and something that bigger that goes behind it and along with it. And again, with like pictures of food and shakes and whatever, like it can't just be, this is what I'm eating for lunch today. Like what's different? Like what did you used to eat versus what do you eat now? How did you used to feel versus how you feel now? So I think that making that list will help you, think of some things that you can talk about. I don't really want to get like into like specific social media kind of stuff. I will say that we talked on the Diamond Call today, and I was like at the pharmacy trying to get medicines and keep Ruthie from throwing up and everything while all it was happening. But Jen, correct me if I'm wrong. We are doing a social media training, I think, after Emerald training, right? Do you remember that? Dee, were you on the call today?
I had to unmute myself. Hold on.
Okay.
You know, I don't recall.
Okay.
I know we're doing September 8th. We're doing the Emerald, right?
Right.
Or
That's
September 10th.
coming. I feel like we talked about doing social media after the Emerald training, just like for a week in Together Rising.
They were talking about that too.
Yeah.
and
Okay. So
I'm not sure how they were going to do it or where, if it was in Together Rising or in the Emerald training or not.
Right. So what I hope to do and encourage you tonight is like not to share specific, like post this and post that, but know that there are resources. I've started an Instagram, what did I call it? An Insta something photo album in Soulshine Tribe. What?
Insta something is close enough.
Yeah. And that has like posting schedules and stuff like that. And it just has tons and tons of ideas of things to post about. Because again, like it is totally fine in the beginning to, post your workouts and post that you're eating a yummy recipe or share a recipe or something like that. That's great. But again, what really brings people to you is when you say something and it strikes a chord and they connect with you. And then they start seeing things in you that, that resonates with them. And I want everyone to know, like, regardless, you all have an incredible story. And someone is waiting to hear that. I promise you someone is waiting to hear that. There are people that I cannot connect with, and I can share my story all day long, and people will just be like, yeah, that just doesn't. But then Dee or Jen or Jamie can come along and share their story, and then that resonates with someone else that I can't connect to. I mean, we all have to share our story. And another thing is, this was another thing that was said, I think at Summit, that this is not my opportunity. This is my responsibility to share this. Like, my life has been changed. My health has been changed. Essentially, my life has been saved. And some of you may not have that strong of a transformation. But if you dig enough and if you write out that list of the top 10 to 20 ways that Beachbody has changed you, you'll really start digging and you'll really see the changes. And that's what makes you better at sharing, and then that makes better at inviting, because you have to have conviction. You have to know that you are going to help people and you are going to change their lives. And I challenge you, again, I know a lot of you are introverts and maybe not comfortable reaching out with people. Don't overthink it. Think of it as just connecting and try to enjoy that connection and start at a place that's comfortable to you. It's not that you have to start off inviting everybody. I mean, you want to start from a place where you are truly connecting and enjoying and complimenting and getting to know people. And another thing, I heard this in a training one time, and I thought it was such a good reminder, and that is, someone pops into your brain, reach out to them. Like, reach out to them. That doesn't mean that you reach out and you say, hey, come coach with me, or, hey, come do my challenge group. But if someone pops into your head, like that is law of attraction, woo-woo stuff, as Jen would say, that like reach out to that person and just say, hey, I was just thinking about you. How have you been? Like that more than anything has guided me. And there have been people throughout my 3 years of coaching that I pop into my head, and sometimes I write their name on my whiteboard. Sometimes I would have like a list and I would just write their name down, and they would just be on my brain or in my heart. And I would just think, for some reason, the universe has popped this person up in my head and heart, and I'm just going to keep an eye on them. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to, keep reaching out to them. So pay attention to that, because I just really believe that has guided me. All right. So to get out of the woo-woo stuff, these are just my very basic things. Now, in the beginning, I got very overwhelmed and I thought, well, I need to be on Facebook and Instagram, and I need to figure out how to get myself on Pinterest and LinkedIn, and I'm going to tweet. And that's when Snapchat was starting. And I was like, okay, so that's like 6 or 7 platforms. And then I'm going to have, multiple accounts, because I had a CC Davis and a Soulshine Mama on Instagram. And then I had a Facebook page and a business page, and I was going crazy. So I would pick 1 to 2 social media platforms, figure out where your people are. For most people, it's Facebook and Instagram these days. You don't have to mess with anything else. There have been times when I'm like, oh, I'm going to explore LinkedIn. I'm going to treat this like a business. Just pick what speaks to you and where you spend your time, and share 1 to 2 times a day. And reaching out, again, sharing. It's very easy to turn sharing into inviting. If you are sharing every day, the first people that you can invite are the people who are liking and commenting on your posts. So it's not like you are just cold calling, your long lost college roommate who you haven't talked to in 20 years. It's someone who is liking and commenting on your stuff. That's the low hanging fruit. And then you expand from there. But don't be afraid to ask relatives and your best friends and your neighbors and your coworkers and people to join you. Another thing that I think is really, really important, I struggled with this a little bit in the beginning, and I know other people have also. Get your spiel, your talk ready for when you run into people in person, because what inevitably happens, someone sees you, you're glowing, they see your arms, they see or they've seen you on social media posting about this. This used to happen to me all the time. I would post something on social media. I would think nobody's following me. And then I go to the grocery store and I'd run into 3 or 4 people and be like, oh my gosh, your post the other day. So get ready and get really comfortable with being able to say something like, oh my gosh, you should join me. You would love it. I mean, you just keep it simple, and you don't have to go into specifics in the middle of the grocery store. But what I always do is, if someone says something to me like that, and I know Christy Campbell used to always get people at the bus stop, especially mom, saying, oh my gosh, you're looking great. What are you drinking? What are you doing? And she would either tell them the specific program, and I think they would go buy it. And she was getting really frustrated. And I was like, Christy, you just have to say, instead of saying specifics, you just be, oh my gosh, I'm doing this group. You would love it. You should do it with me. And either you let the conversation unfold naturally, or if you get interrupted by kids like I always do, then that gives you an opening to follow up later on and be send a message and just say, we never got to fully talk about this, but this is what I'm doing. I'd love for you to join me. But I want you to be prepared and be confident when someone gives you a compliment or someone is asking you, what are you doing? It is okay. Think of it this way. If you had just gone to Target and bought new mascara and someone gave you a compliment about how amazing your eyelashes looked, what would you do? You would be like, oh my gosh, thank you. This is brand new mascara. I just bought it. You've got to try it. It was on sale. That's totally what you would do. This should be no different. If someone compliments you about something, or they've seen your post, or they're asking you for a recipe or whatever, that is an opening. That is your chance to say, I've never felt better. This is amazing. You should do it too, or whatever. And then with follow-ups, I could talk about follow-ups all day long. I can't see who's on here now, but I know Dee and Jen Barton were. Dee, I invited for a solid year before she even joined the challenge group. And I just, every month or so, I'd reach out, and it was always, just from a place of, Dee was one of the ones that was always on my heart. And I was like, oh, I just wish I could get Dee to do this. I think she'd love it. I'd love to, do this with her. And I just kept reaching out. And Jen Barton, gosh, we probably met in person to talk about coaching and stuff. And then, it was a full year or more. So, you just have
to. Way more than a year. Yeah.
What? It was more than a year?
More than a year, yeah.
Yeah. So, you just have to keep following up. And like when I say follow up, like don't copy and paste the same damn thing every month. You have to come from a place of, like I've always come from a place of helping, and like I see people and I'm like, oh my gosh, this person should be doing this. Why isn't she doing this with me? And that's where I come from. All right. So I know a lot of you work full time and you have really, really, really full plates. So I want you to know that like the majority of coaches work full time and have really busy lives, and it can be done. I think the more that you have a plan that's based on the 3 vitals and income producing activity, the more likely you're going to be successful. I spin my wheels a lot when I don't have a plan, and I scroll a lot when I don't have a plan, and that doesn't help me with anything. So what I recommend, and I think everybody knows what works best, or you will find what works best. For me, I sit down on Sundays and I plan out my week. I know for some of you who work or who travel for work or teach, like you have to plan out a month, or you have to plan out a semester, or you have to plan out like longer than a week. For me, with 3 kids, I have to plan a week at a time. Like that's, I have everything on the monthly calendar, but like every week I sit down and I think the first thing I put in my schedule are my workouts. Like use the 3 vitals. How are you going to be proof of the product? Like that comes down to your workouts. So I schedule that in. I schedule in my miracle morning, my personal development. I put all those things on my calendar, and then I go from there. Now, Jen Hines has really been very, very successful as a working mom. And she's been very slow and steady and consistent. And she'll spend like an hour on Sunday and plan out all of her posts, which sometimes I have a hard time doing. I'm trying to get better at that, because what I've noticed is I've been using Planoly for Instagram. And I cannot tell you the stress that I didn't even know I was feeling from posting. And now I don't have that stress anymore. Like I have posts planned. I planned all my posts for today, tomorrow. I've got one planned for Saturday and one planned for Sunday. And like, it has just relieved me. So don't discount the fact that, what happens is you get stuck in this pattern where you're like, oh my gosh, a post, I've got to come up with a post. I'm not posting. I'm such a bad coach. I knew I couldn't do this. And it like snowballs. But if you, and so my excuse as to why I was never planning out my post was because I wanted to be authentic. And well, what if like tomorrow I have this amazing workout and I want to share it, and or what if I'm really struggling and I need to share that? And I've always felt like I've got to share it real time, like for it to be authentic, I've got to share it real time. But what I've noticed is that the stress that I am alleviating by planning out my posts far outweighs the stress of, oh my gosh, I'm not being authentic because I'm not sharing that on Tuesday, like this was a struggle, but instead I'm sharing it next week or whatever. I think there's really a lot of power in planning ahead, especially if you work. I also think that, Moira has made the trackers, the walker, runner, jogger tracker, this win the week tracker. Use it. And again, like the weekly rhythm register, guys, there are times, let's see, what did I put on this one? Like I always put, like my miracle morning and my workouts, wake up at 5 a.m. But what I've started putting is like quality time with Ruthie, or, some people put, other personal things in there. But know that like this is not just like for Beachbody. Beachbody is a company, and those of you who went to Summit, like the heart of the company, and that like they don't want you just to be a successful coach to make money. They want you to become better people and happier people, and to spread that to others. Like they truly, truly do. And so this tracker, like track watering your plants, track, whatever it is that like you need to do, just use these things because they really will help you stay successful. Let me make sure I'm not leaving anything out. I actually made notes. I made this and I made notes.
Good job, Cece. I'm raising my hand.
Oh, okay. I couldn't even see you. Do you have a question or comment?
Well, are there going to be more slides after this?
There's one more and that's it.
Okay. Because I got things to show too.
Okay. So the main thing I want to say is, you just have to take action, because if you sit around thinking about things and thinking about, well, when I finish Emerald training, then I'll do it. When I finish 80-Day Obsession, then I'll do it. When I have some good before and after pictures, then I'll do it. When I have a chance to talk to Jen and have my GSR call, then I'll do it. Like there's just no waiting. You have to take action. Fill out that memory jogger. And again, like it just let it give you the confidence that people and you have connections. And it might not be that all those people you're writing on your memory jogger that you're inviting. It might just be that you're just thinking of all these relationships and connections. And what it did for me is that it made me feel like I know people, I have these people, I want to connect. And it made me understand like I thrive with connection. And like that's something that was missing in my life being a stay-at-home mom. So the next slide is just about what's coming up. There is Emerald training apparently that I am helping run that starts on the 10th, which is Scott's 50th birthday. If you've done Emerald training before, it is okay to repeat it. It is always okay. I cannot tell you how many times I did the same trainings over and over again, because either I would start and I would fizzle out, or I would, feel like I didn't complete it, or I half-assed it, or whatever. There are no requirements to get into that Emerald training. Anybody can do it. I would say just put yourself in it, because you're going to learn something. Even if you're already Emerald, put yourself in it. If you want to duplicate and create your own Emeralds, get yourself in it. For Diamond training that starts in October, there will be requirements, and they talked about it today, and I, again, was getting medicine, and I don't know what those are. I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can figure out how to get back to y'all. But now, really quickly, what I want to do is, okay, stopping share. Hi. Did you have something you wanted to?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So I asked Jamie if she would talk for just a sec about hitting Emerald. Because Jamie, if you don't know anything about her, she signed up to be a coach April 28th, 2017. I looked up the date. And I just want everyone to know and to appreciate that Emerald truly is a decision. And sometimes you make that decision on April 29th, 2017, and sometimes you make it in July of 2018. And it doesn't matter when you make it, but when you make it, you follow it up with action, and it just, the pieces fall into place. So I'm going to let Jamie take over for just a sec and just tell us, like, her magic. Go for it.
I think it really came down to just, for me personally, making a decision that this is what I wanted to do. When Dee approached me last year, I said to her, I don't want anything to do with this coaching stuff. I don't want to hear about coaching. I will do psychology. I will watch you do it all. I will watch you work out. but I'm going to keep my happy little round rear end over here and be left alone. I don't want to talk to these people. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And that was just because I wasn't comfortable with myself. It had nothing to do with anyone else. It was completely solely about me. And had toyed around, watched her a little bit, started watching Cece a lot, would watch some of the other girls, and was paying attention just from the sidelines, but just had decided still for the longest that this wasn't what I wanted to do. And I remember just sitting there going, why are you sitting on the sideline? Why do you keep watching everyone else that's having fun, that's changing their lives, that's losing the weight or whatever their goal was, and not jumping in with them, all because really you didn't want to just take that leap. I think that most of that stuff comes from within. You have to decide, at whatever point that is, that you are ready to believe in yourself.
True.
It has nothing to do with what Cece's doing. It has nothing to do with what Dee's doing or when she's ready or any of the other ladies. It's about when you're ready. And when you make that decision and decide that you're ready, you can go forward with those things. You can comfortably talk to people and tell people your journey, your story, and share with people more. And once you've decided to do that, once you've decided to put that faith in what you're doing and what you want to be and who you want to be, I think the rest just kind of comes. You have no problem telling people from that point on. And I think a lot of the issue is that some of us just are uncomfortable because we don't know our own power. We don't know our own success and our own story. And it's not really about not putting in the work or not doing, because we do have to do all of that as well, but it's more about how we feel on the inside about ourselves.
True. And that's where I think the importance of the vital behaviors come in, because when you're taking care of yourself with that number one vital behavior being proof of the product, that helps. When you're doing personal development, I mean, that's when you're working on the inside. And also, again, like I said, personal development is not just reading You Are a Badass and listening to things, but it's also calling into team calls, because then you get to hear, and I'm not talking just about this one, I'm talking about Together Rising, Soul Warriors, because then you get to hear other people's stories, and then you're like, oh my gosh, if she can do that, I can do this. Or you meet, someone just says something that resonates with you that maybe I have been saying in my way for 3 years, and you're like, I don't get it. And then you hop on a call and Meredith says it in her way, and you're like, oh, wow, it makes sense. Oh my gosh. So again, personal development is so important, but leaning into the team support and the team culture and the team differences and everything. That's what I think has gotten me to where I am comfortable with that, because I see so much inspiration everywhere. And it was, I'm not going to be able to say it the way this girl said it, but it's really inspiring to just be around other women who are conquering their fears, insecurities, or whatever they're dealing with. Even if it's something you're not dealing with, you get so much from that. And so that's why, again, the whole vital behaviors, it just goes back to that. So thank you, Jamie, so much.
One other thing too, and it makes a huge difference. I made a commitment before I even started last month, really going into it hardcore, that in June, I said I would listen to at least 2 team calls a week. That was my commitment. I said, I'm going to plug in before I decide for sure this is exactly what I want to do. I want to do for the next 4 weeks, listen to 2 team calls a week. It made a huge difference. It makes a huge difference just in your own, like you said, just to hear from other women, from other areas, from other walks of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. Thank you. Jen Towner, did you want to show and share something?
I don't need to.
Well, you can.
Okay, I will. So when you're talking about planning out your week and the runner, walker, jogger thing, I just wanted to show everybody I have a passion planner, and I think it's because Courtney Burton has one, and I like to do everything that Courtney Burton has. And when I started coaching, I saw her on all the calls, and she would talk about, you know, be on all the calls because it's your business. It's a business call, and they do help. And I was like, I like her. I want to be her. So she was talking about her passion planner, and I'm like, okay, I'm buying a passion planner. So I do my little thing there, but I work full time, and I have like studio scheduled in and whatnot. But then also what has been one of the things that stuck with me is Meredith Ganell. She always talks about taking immediate action, and Cece talked about it. It's like when you think of that person, take immediate action. Just don't think about it, just do it. And that's been the one thing that, you know, has kept me going, you know, even when I'm not, you know, on point or whatever. It's like, just take immediate action. It's like, okay, just send out 5 invites or 10 invites or whatever. So, you know, even if it's just take immediate action, push play on your workout. So
yeah, or reach out to someone you see on a team call that you want to talk more with. Like, that's another thing, is having, I think in the very, very beginning when people start, you don't need this quite as much. But the more that you have, that you reach out and have a success partner or a success pod, or like nobody would let me quit now if I tried. Like, like Jolie would come to my house. Like, you know, Maggie, like Danielle, like I'm so like, in my life, it's so intertwined with everyone that like, first of all, they can just tell by the sound of my voice. Like, if I just send a message, like, what's going on? There's something wrong with you. And so like, just having that and having that support and having that connection, like that is like, I don't know. I'm frozen. Are y'all frozen? Am I frozen? Okay.
no.
I'm not ever going to give that up. I'm not ever going to give that up. And so I say, you know, again, just listen to the whisper. I think that's a book, or that's a quote or something. Just listen to that. And if someone, like Jen said, if someone pops into your head, call them, text them, send them a message. If I don't know, you know, you just have to act on those kinds of things. So, that is all I wanted to talk about tonight. Do y'all have any questions? Anybody? Anything? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop recording. Let me see.